So now that you've probably watched a bunch of first impression videos of the DJI Avata 360, there's one big question that's probably still sitting in the back of your mind. How much is this thing actually going to cost? And yeah, I know a lot of people are curious about the specs too. But honestly, pricing might end up being the bigger story here. Because the official launch is still a couple of days away, but leaks from Chinese supply chain sources and even a few European retailer listings are already giving us a rough idea of where this drone could land. And if these numbers turn out to be accurate, DJI might be about to release one of its most aggressively priced drones in a while. Right now, the drone itself is rumored to start at around €459 in Europe. That roughly converts to about $520 to $530. There's also a Chinese listing floating around showing a price of about 2,988 yuan, which translates closer to $430. So once you factor in regional taxes, import costs, and pricing adjustments, the realistic starting price for the Avata 360 could land somewhere around $500 for the drone alone. And if that actually happens, that's a pretty big deal. Because getting into 360-degree aerial footage has never really been cheap. A sub-$500 entry point could suddenly make this entire category accessible to a lot more creators who previously couldn't justify the cost. Now if you've followed DJI launches before, whether it's the DJI Avata, the DJI Mini 4 Pro, or the DJI Air 3, you'll probably notice a pattern. DJI usually introduces a pretty attractive base price for the drone itself, but most buyers eventually end up going for the Fly More combo. That's because the bundle usually includes the things people are going to buy anyway. The controller, extra batteries, a charging hub, and a few other essential accessories. Instead of buying all of that separately later, the bundle usually just makes more sense. And according to the leaks, the Avata 360 Fly More combo could be priced around €939, which would likely translate to roughly $999 in the United States. And that number actually feels very intentional. Keeping it just under the $1,000 mark makes the drone psychologically much easier to justify, especially for something that introduces a completely new category, a 360 FPV-style drone. There's also talk about a higher-end bundle. This version could include the DJI Goggles N3 along with the DJI RC controller. And that setup is rumored to land around €1,159, which would probably translate to about $1,200 in the US. Now here's where things get interesting. Even at that price, DJI would still be entering the 360 drone space cheaper than one of its main competitors, the anti-gravity A1, which currently starts around $1,599. But there's an important detail here. That $1,599 price for the A1 already includes the drone, goggles, controller, battery, and accessories in the box. So the more realistic comparison would actually be against the Avata 360's full bundle, which could land somewhere between $1,000 and $1,200. So yes, DJI would still come in cheaper. Just not quite as dramatically as comparing the A1's full kit to the Avata 360's drone-only price. Of course, all of this is still based on leaks, retailer listings, and early supply chain chatter. DJI could easily tweak the final pricing when the drone is officially announced. But if these numbers hold up, the Avata 360 could end up being one of the most accessible entry points into 360 aerial filmmaking we've seen so far. So now I'm curious what you think. Does this pricing make the Avata 360 more appealing to you? Or would you still lean towards something like the anti-gravity A1 instead? Let me know your thoughts. Peace.